Backpack Broadcasting continues to bring you the best original sports content, but now you can get more of the content you love. For as little as $3 a month, you can get access to bonus content, including behind-the-scenes footage and interviews from the Sports Walk, Sideline Stories, or the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. All this exclusive content comes via Patreon. There are tiered levels of patronage, and each Backpack Broadcasting patron receives exclusive perks. Your support helps Backpack Broadcasting create more of the original content that you love. Visit Backpack Broadcasting's Patreon page and become a patron today. Hard to Tell podcast, episode 56. Dexter, Henry, Brian, Fonseca, and we have two very special guests here today with us. And this is pretty much going to be we're just going to be talking NBA, talking some basketball hoops. We have Jamal Murphy. He's the executive producer and co-host of the BrosPod with my man Bill Roden. And we also have Derrel Johnson. He's the editor of the Harlem Times and NBA columnist at the New York Beacon. Guys, what's up? So glad to have you guys here.
Glad to be here.
What up, what up?
What up?
So when we had Gerard here for episode 53, I mentioned the group chat, and that's how this kind of got put together. So people listening, this is part of the group chat.
A lot of hateration out there.
Now, I am not in the group chat. Not that I'm feeling any kind of way about not being there.
Oh, we're starting another one.
But I've heard interesting things about this group chat. A lot of NBA discussions that come up in this group chat that I found quite interesting. I heard things get a little bit interesting.
Yeah.
We don't want to say contentious. Nobody dislikes anybody.
No. Right.
We're just talking sports. It's not that serious here.
Right, yeah.
But we have some interesting conversations that go. Before we get into that, because we will get into that, we always love when we have fellow journalists come up here. We like them to talk a little bit about their background, how they got into what they do. Opportunity for you guys to talk about yourself. Derrel, I'll start with you. I've known you for quite some time. Long time in this game. Pretty much since I've been in the game too. Tell people, for people who don't know from you, I know you rep Harlem all day. Tell them a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I speak to kids a lot. I tell them I never wanted to be a journalist until I was a journalist. I approached a brother who's not living anymore, Mark Raspberry, about us starting a blog together. So we started the Raz and Jazz Sports blog. What I did not know, I knew Mark was a sports photographer. So my idea was my writing his photos. I did not know he was the sports editor of the New York Beacon. So he gave me a test assignment without telling me he was the editor.
Huh.
He liked what I wrote and then hired me to write for the paper. So I essentially went from a Knick fan in August of 2010 to interviewing Amari Stoudemire, at the NBA store 2 weeks later. So it was a quick transition, but this is year 9 now for me, covering the NBA, writing for the Beacon, and it's a journey I never would have thought I would be on.
See, that always shows you there's many different ways to get in the game, right?
The glory years of Raymond Felton and Amari Stoudemire.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
That was a great half season before they blew it up.
A glory year.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for singularizing that, because it's not glory years.
How was Raymond Felton?
I saw Raymond Felton in the Charlotte locker room, and it shocked me because I forgot he was on the team.
Yeah. He's still at OKC, right?
Yeah.
Was it OKC?
I was like, she's in
OKC.
Charlotte?
Okay,
that went over
It's
my head.
OKC.
Okay.
Yeah, it's OKC. He's still on OKC. He is OKC. Similar colors.
Yeah,
Similar
similar
colors.
colors. Yeah.
Jamal,
He's not playing, so.
Well,
Yes.
Russell.
Yeah. Well, and then Schroeder's kind of taking his minutes that he had last year.
Well, Schroeder's better.
True.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Jamal, what about you? We heard how Derrel got in the game. How did you get into this journalism podcasting thing too, as well?
Wow. So I've always been like a crazy sports fanatic, since day one, probably 5 years old. I've been some crazy fan. So if I would have done what I probably should have done, come out of college and just be a sports journalist, that's probably what I should have done if I would have followed my heart. But I went, I went after college. I went to law school. So I'm an attorney by trade. doing all that, and I was still always in the mix in sports, like either blogging or whatever. And then Bill Roden, who's always a friend of my father's from back in the day, he knew I was writing and blogging and stuff. This is about 4 years ago or so, and he approached me about maybe doing some sort of website. He knew he was going to leave the Times at some point, and so we talked about that. We were going to do that. And then he got this podcast opportunity from like CBS, or I think it was CBS. So he did one show, and then he brought me in there, and then we just, from then on, we just kept doing it, and we still haven't done the website, by the way.
Right,
crazy.
But the podcast, which is great. We love the podcast.
Website coming soon.
Like website coming soon.
So the website is still coming soon. You know what I'm saying? So that besides that, freelance writing and writing for CBS Sports, CBS Local. I've done some stuff for USA Today, cover all sports, particularly basketball, college basketball. College basketball is probably my heart for some reason. I don't know.
That's what you love.
Yeah.
From day one.
But you don't think it's better than the NBA, like some people have said.
I mean, what do you mean? They're not better players for sure.
Well, that's what I was. That's what.
Well, some people like to allude to that.
That they're better players. How's that even possible?
And then the product is better.
That's what we're
saying.
saying.
Don't agree with.
Yeah.
Now you can enjoy it more.
Well, college basketball is different because it's not just about the players. It's more like you got to be into like the whole 8 league situation, ACC, Big East. You got to be fans of that.
Yeah.
It helps if you went to one of the schools. I didn't even go to any like a big time college basketball school.
I went to NEC school.
But so there's more involved. It's like, it's not just the NBA. If you're straight basketball and you want to see the best basketball players in the world and the best coaches and all that, it's the NBA. But college is like, there are storylines and all kinds of stuff.
No, I can see that. That makes sense.
And you see the kids who are going to be pros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you also don't act like some of these other people where, they think the college game is better. And, they enjoy that the NCAA does not pay any of these athletes.
No, I can't go that far. That's ridiculous.
He's like, I won't go there. I do want to ask you one thing. I remember you following me on Twitter, and I saw your Twitter handle. I was like, "Yo, Blackatologist." I love that. I think it's dope. How'd you come up with that?
I don't even remember. I don't know. I don't know if I came up with it or someone else came up with it. I can't remember. It was a long time.
I was like, "Who is this guy? I like this." And then I looked into it. Like,
it really goes back to my college basketball like history and nerddom. Like when it comes to college basketball, I've always done like the bracketology thing, like predict who's going to be in the
you're
tournament,
really into that,
like
right.
Lenardi and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm nicer than Lenardi. You know what I'm saying? There's
this.
There's websites up that you could check the numbers. You know what I'm saying?
That you have been more accurate than him.
Yeah.
Why aren't you getting your due?
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Time will come.
Are you gonna publicize this right when we get into conference play so that people can know to pay attention to you starting in January?
Yeah, I usually do that. So I mean, so basically, it comes from that.
I'm
the black bracketologist.
Before the March Madness comes, we're gonna have to have you up to talk about that.
Oh yeah.
We'll have you back
no
for
question.
that for sure.
But then the blacketologist has like morphed into other things too because it was meant for that. But then I'm also like political. And I'm like, I'm pro-black, just to be honest. You know what I'm saying?
I'm all good with that.
So it's morphed into like a whole bunch of different things, So people.
Now, one of the things that we know that you're pro, and we're going to transition nicely here. And Derrel, now he's perked up a little bit here. One of the debates I was told about that happens in this group chat that we mentioned before. Quite often, okay?
Literally every day.
And so guys, this is enjoyable for me because I'm getting to see this sort of play out in a way that I have not got to experience that Brian has.
You can see my face. I'm excited.
All right, this is probably, I don't think many people listening to this podcast thinks is a topic that we were going to go into, but we're going to go into this. Trae Young.
It's not a debate.
Whether there is a debate among these two gentlemen that are here with us, whether he is and I want to be clear, whether he is a good player or not. Am I correct in my
Are we?
Am I phrasing the
Derrel,
discussion correctly?
Is that it?
Derrel?
Is that really it?
Okay, no, let me just ask Derrel then. Derrel, because I know kind of where you stand on this.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Trae Young, the player? We want to be clear. We do not dislike anybody personally. We do not know these people. We're just talking about the players. How do you feel about Trae Young, the player?
So I've said before, I think we can already toss the Steph Curry comparisons out the window.
Who came up with this? I'm sorry, I can't interrupt.
A lot of people do make those comparisons.
That was a comparison that was out there, though. We can't ignore it.
It still is.
And somebody asked this to Andre Iguodala. Iguodala cut the guy off before he finished asking the question because it's that bad of a comparison. It is. The other issue is Atlanta traded him for Luka Doncic.
That's something else I'd love to get into.
That is already. I think we can, unless Luka gets hurt, they lost that trade.
Somebody
already.
I want to. I'm gonna let you continue, but I want to stop you.
Let me pull up the actual
to make a
trade
note
while
of that.
You guys are.
Just last night, I had a friend text me, and he asked me, "Is that the worst draft day trade and miss ever?" And I was kind of being like, to put what Jamal said. I was like, let me think about that. Can we say that already? Is it too early? Just because I usually like to judge draft picks. 3 years, 4 years in the league. You got to see what they develop into.
And this was the trade, by the way.
I would also like to say, Brian knows this, I was very high on Luka Doncic. I was high on Luka Doncic way before the draft.
The 2017 draft.
I was very high in this game. Now.
Well, let me just say,
yes.
You mentioned, I don't know what your friend. It's a crazy thing to say now, just now because
he wasn't making a point. He was just asking a question.
Yeah, but usually, like a bad trade involves a player who is a bust, like already.
You can't say anybody's a bust.
Well, I'm with you. But it's usually like a guy like, was that the worst trade ever? And it's a guy, is he still in the league?
So you're saying maybe it's not even fair to ask that question.
It's very early. The trade was Doncic for Trae Young and a 2019 first-round pick, which is top 5 protected.
Derrel is saying
they got a pick. They got a pick also.
It was another. It was Trae Young and a first-round pick
for this year's.
So they got Trae Young. So Atlanta got Trae Young and a pick.
And the 2019 first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it says
I forgot about that.
Yeah, because it says Luka, because he was the 3rd pick. Trae Young was 5th. It says Luka was traded by the Hawks to the Mavericks for Trae Young in a 2019 first-round pick, which is top 5 protected.
Or basically look at
obviously Dallas is not going to be in the top 5.
The Mavs moved up to get Doncic. That's basically the way you can look at it now.
Yeah.
You feel because of the early returns. So I'm clear, Derrel. Continue your point. You feel in the early returns.
Break those down too. Give me some numbers.
There are people. I am not one of them, but there are people who think Luka is going to be one of the best players in the NBA in 5 years. And Dexter is one of those people.
Okay.
I think
maybe less than 5. I mean,
I'm not going
to. It could be 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
I don't think there's anyone who thinks that about Trae Young, that he's going to be one of the best players in the league in 3 to 5 years.
Do you think there's any shot that he could be? Because it sounds like you don't. You think there's zero shot.
Zero.
Yes.
Zero.
When Trae Young has a game that goes there,
because I want people to understand your position where you come from before we get to Jamal. Do we understand your position?
Yes.
Yeah. I think he has the potential to be a average, maybe above average player. When you get drafted top 5, you're supposed to be a star.
Ideally, you would like that to happen.
All-star at least, right?
Yeah.
What is it that you don't like, or what is it you don't see that makes you feel the way that you do?
His size,
And can I ask you another question? I mean to cut you off. Did you feel this way pre-draft?
Yeah, I felt that way at the draft.
Which is key to this conversation.
They're both being consistent
because that's my thing about Derrel's take. I think, and I say it to you all the time. He had a hot take with pre-draft.
Okay.
And he stuck to the hot take. It's okay to have a hot take, but if it doesn't work out, just let it go. We're never going to forget.
Do we know that it hasn't worked? Do we know that it hasn't worked?
That's kind of
you want to know why? Let's talk about why. He's averaging 16 and 7, right?
Yeah.
No.
15
and 7.
15.5 rounded up.
Yeah. And that's one thing. That's one thing.
You see the hate. I got so much on it. I actually talked to Trae Young about this last week.
He did.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And he knows this is. He knows he has haters out there.
Did you mention Derrel to Trae Young?
Not by name.
So if Trae Young sees Derrel at a Hawks Knicks game,
I didn't want to do that to him.
He's looking at Derrel.
I didn't want to do that to him.
Man, why are you hating on me?
I have too much respect for Derrel to do that.
It was Hawks versus Nets, and everyone was talking to Jeremy Lin.
And so you slid
Jamal,
off there.
Jamal seized the opportunity.
Okay. Now does
good journalism, by the way.
To make sure it's good, does Trae Young know that you are a supporter of him, or at least you appear to be?
He must know because of the way I phrased the questions.
But you interviewed him at Jordan Brand also. right?
I did.
Yeah.
And in fact, he's better than I thought he would be at that time. At that time, I didn't think he was a one-and-done guy. I thought Sexton was better. Just
I don't think anyone thought he was going to lead.
The practices I saw, I was like, I was looking at Sexton as the best point guard there. Okay. So he's surprised. But then he goes to college, and he leads the nation. He's the only player ever to lead the nation in points and assists. I think it was 27 and like 8 point something, right? Nobody has ever done that, ever. Right. So people say, so I was thinking about this, why, and I asked Trae, why do you have so many haters? Like, it's crazy. I was like, you know, do you hear this in the background, all these haters? He's like, yeah. He was like, I don't know. He was like, I never knew that playing basketball would cause playing basketball would cause so many people to hate me, you know? But my theory is the hype, okay? Because he led the nation in points and assists, which is it's never been done before, okay? So it's a feat. No matter what you want to say, it's never been done before. No one's ever done it. Right. Okay? So he got hype off of that, which is understandable, right? Because nobody's done it. Then I get the Steph Curry comparisons. Yeah. Which is just unfair. Yeah. You know, he didn't say, "Hey, I'm the next Steph Curry, watch me." Yeah. He didn't ask
and he was drafted higher too.
Right, he was drafted higher. Because, you know, Steph Curry never led the nation in assists. He might have been up there in points.
I'm sure he was up there.
Yeah, he was definitely points for sure. Yeah. But, you know, so people, you know, ESPN, everybody talking about Steph Curry. I mean, Steph Curry is a 2-time MVP. People consider Steph Curry the best shooter of all time. He has 3 NBA championship rings. Yeah. That's not even fair. Yeah. I mean, to even put him in the same category.
And you know what it is? Because Steph Curry has overachieved because he never had a precedent. He just kind of came in the league, and even though he was, the 7th overall pick, the expectations weren't high for him that much, so he's already broken that sort of glass ceiling. A lot of people thought he was picked
too high.
Yeah, a lot of people did. And then with Trae Young, since he has a precedent, now the pressure's on, and it's like, you got to be Curry.
And I do think he's fallen victim to it a little bit. And I admit that because I do think
he's a kid
that all of a sudden once those comparisons started, all of a sudden Trae Young started taking deeper and deeper threes.
You saw that in summer league, and that did not look good.
And really for no reason.
Still
like
doesn't.
you look at his I mean the one and I asked him I said the one thing that people, your detractors or your haters will point to is your shooting percentage. That's really pretty much all you can say.
Which is what Derrel loves too.
What's his turnover rate? And granted, I would like to know.
Okay, that's good. His turnover, he was as of before the Brooklyn game, because I wrote something on it. He was 3.9 turnovers a game, which was 6th in the league. Your boy Luka Doncic was
3.5. I know, 3.5.
9th in the league. Right. So, but nobody disses Doncic over that.
They should, but they should also qualify that by saying, and I would not knock.
I wouldn't kill either of them.
I don't kill it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't kill Doncic.
One, it's hard to run a team as a rookie, right?
And who else does he have on that team?
Right. I would expect, because look at the Hawks, I would expect with the ball in his hands a lot from to turn the ball over a lot because there are guys who are, no disrespect to some of the other guys on the team, that are more incompetent. Luka's still running the team. Sexton has high turnover numbers as well too,
and injured also because Taurean Prince is hurt and John Collins was.
Those things matter,
and there's no real comparison between the teammates that Doncic has. I mean, he has 2 max guys.
No, they're not. But
he's
also playing with better talent.
He's playing with better talent,
no doubt.
And to me, the biggest thing with Trae Young that makes it not really a debate in my mind is the assist total. I mean, the kid...
He's an elite level passer
already.
He's an elite level.
I agree. On the NBA level.
I agree.
He's been top 10 in assists all year. He's 11 now. He's been a top 10 assist guy.
With not very good teammates.
With no one else. Yeah. Who is he passing to? And
Vince Carter.
When you go look at the top 15 in NBA assists, you're not going to find a bum anywhere in there. You're not going to find anybody who you're like... They're all good to great players in that who are averaging 7 assists or more.
Now, with all that said, we've thrown out some numbers here, Derrel. We've said all that. You did not care for him. You said you concerned about the size before the draft. I feel like I'm just stirring stuff up here in this episode. What do you say to that, right? Like, because I feel like there's some fair points to be made on that side. What do you say to that?
Absolutely. Well, first, I watched him last year in college. Probably not as much as Jamal did, because Jamal is a huge college.
He's the bracketologist, man.
Yeah, don't come at me on college.
He had horrible shooting nights. Towards the second half of the season,
he struggled in conference play.
Yeah,
definitely.
I see a 2 of 11 game from 3.
It happens.
I see a 1 of 9 game back to back. So that's 3 of 20 from the college 3-point line in back-to-back college games.
Which is
So-
15%, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. So I think his body wore down as the season went on. College season, he played on average 2 games a week. He's eventually going to get bigger. He has not gotten bigger from last year to this year. His body seems to already be wearing down from 2 games a week to 4 games a week. Can he deal with the physical play of the NBA? He did something interesting yesterday. I was at the game. Hawks played the Knicks yesterday.
Speak on it.
First game of the season where Trae Young did not shoot a 3-pointer.
That's my boy.
Yes.
So maybe he's starting to get it.
Hey, can I just say one thing?
Yes.
Since I spoke to him,
Oh, you gave him that talk. You let him know.
since I talked to him, and I through my questions, I think I was basically telling him, just chill with the crazy shot selection,
Right.
and just run the team.
Right.
The last 3 games, he's shooting 47%, 50% from 3, averaging 16 and 8. The last 3 games, he's shooting less.
Small
as you
sample, but
acknowledge,
nice.
You know,
Two
so I think
tennis
I think he's starting to get it.
And Derrel says that was the first game he did not shoot a 3, which was
Of the
against the
whole
Knicks.
season, game
Whole season.
31. You know what he's shooting from 3-point range on the season?
It's not Steph Curry like, I can say that.
It's about half of what Steph Curry is
20?
shooting.
25.
25%.
Yeah.
He's shooting 25% from 3-point range. Now, I don't watch enough Atlanta Hawks games to, and I don't want to, be able to figure this out. I would love to see the look on their faces from his teammates when he shoots one of those Steph Curry-esque 3-pointers. Shooting 25%.
I would assume, though, if I'm one of those teammates, unless you're Kent Bazemore, who gets Tim Hardaway Jr. like and start feeling himself, who else do you want to shoot on that team?
That's another one of his boys, Tim Hardaway Jr., by the way.
We're gonna get to that.
He's got a foot in.
We're gonna get to Tim Hardaway Jr. This is fun. but Derrel, who else do you want shooting on that team?
Anybody.
Wait, you would rather
Hey, John Collins could shoot.
Kent Bazemore shoot the 3 than
Well, Kent Bazemore likes to shoot, but
yes, he does.
He is averaging 7.2 assists, which is a good number. I don't like the turnovers, but he is a rookie.
Do you think he's an elite level passer? Because I think he's already an elite level passer.
And in turnover,
If not, he's close.
He's still number 1 amongst rookies.
I think it's very
assist
rare
to turnover
rookies-
ratio.
He is. I think it's very rare rookies that do something that you come in and you say, "Oh man, that's elite." You may have questions about other parts of the game, but at least I can say when I look at him, I see elite level passing.
I don't know if I would say elite.
Okay.
But coming into the league, he's supposed to be an elite shooter. Would you all agree? He's a shooter?
His 2K rating was very high.
To go to what Jamal said, and I do agree, and I'm not saying that you were saying this or anybody else, there was a hype around him from the media that kind of projected him as an elite level shooter. And as Brian was saying, you had those comparisons to Steph Curry. So there became these, whether it was fair or not, these expectations, right, that people had. And then I think we saw very quickly in Summer League, if we want to take it back to before the season, that maybe that wasn't there. I have not seen elite level shooting, and I think your numbers prove that it's not elite level shooting.
Yeah, he's not an elite shooter. I think he's a good shooter mechanically. You know basketball, right?
Yeah.
So you watch him play. Do you see? There's no hitch in his shot. Like he has a. In fact, when he just shoots a regular 3-pointer and he's not trying to shoot it from 30 feet, he's pretty good.
Quick
I bet
release.
you if you took all those 30-foot shots out of it, he'd have a much higher percentage.
But I do
so
think-
it's the shot selection, really.
I agree. And I do think there's something to that. And then maybe it's to what Derrel's bringing up, that maybe maybe your pep talk did this and that, he is calming it down.
Thank you.
If he this is more for Derrel. If he calms it down and he's shooting less threes or less contested threes, do you see him becoming, I don't want to say somebody's to become MVP or become the best, an all-star. Do you think forget, you know what, let me put it like this. Is he a centerpiece player that you believe the Hawks can build around?
I don't think a centerpiece player. I think
Is he a complimentary player?
I think yes.
You could say John Collins is the centerpiece of that team. You could argue that.
Yeah, I like Collins.
I would go.
No, I'm saying you could argue that. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
But you think he can be a complimentary?
I think you can build with
Yes.
both of them.
I don't think they have a centerpiece player on their roster.
Okay.
Right now.
That could be argued.
But I think that
And you're saying if they would have drafted Luka, they would have one.
Luka's a centerpiece player.
I do agree with that.
I think most people would agree with that now. Yeah. You seem like you're not sold.
I mean, I'm not sold as like he's the best player on a championship team or anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sold on that.
I agree. I agree with that. He could be.
And
but I'm not ready to call him that yet.
My thing is, I think Luka's good. I think he's very good player. He does a lot of things well, right? You want to talk about elite, like something elite in your game. He's not, unlike Trae Young, he's not top 10 in any category, but he's very good in most categories. So he scores well, right? What is he averaging, like 18? He's
just under 20, I think.
Right. So, and then he's like rebounds about seven rebounds, about 5 assists. You know what I'm saying? So he's doing everything well. He's shooting 43%, and then 30-something from 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So
19, 7, and 5 roughly.
I mean, he's a good player. He's young. We assume he's going to get better, and we're not mentioning any of his negatives. Like I never hear anybody complain about the turnovers or the shooting percentage. That's fine. And I just want the same treatment for everybody else,
which is fair.
Free Trae Young.
But Trae's shooting 38% from the field.
Yeah,
right. but even struggling from the field.
Yeah, but even going into the draft, I remember we were saying that Luka should have been the first pick.
I thought so.
I don't know how you felt.
I didn't. What I said was, I just hadn't seen enough, and I also I like when I hear a narrative out there, and I start to question. Where that narrative is coming from,
right?
And the media and media bias.
Who in the media, right?
And I did actually try to do my research. I went and looked at his tape.
I appreciate people who did this because you know how I feel about that.
Right. I looked at the tape. Obviously, he was doing impressive things. The best league overseas by far. Mm-hmm. He was the MVP. But when I saw the tape, I was like, okay, I don't really see the quickness. And who is he playing against? I know these are grown men pros, but I just felt that people were, the people who were like, oh, he's by far the best player in the draft. I thought that you're kind of dismissing what college basketball does have to offer in terms of like the ACC or some of the big conferences is like athleticism. Was that same what about the athleticism that the other kids are going against that I didn't see in his league?
So you feel like that narrative is sort of being carried into what he's doing now.
The
pre-draft sort of.
And the fact that the NBA people kind of, I must have agreed with me because he didn't go 1 through. I mean,
clearly he went 5.
Right,
I mean, technically,
three to 5 or whatever.
Right.
So now that you're right, I get it. Like you're kind of proven right, so you're like, so it's like overdoing it in terms of like how good he is.
I don't think that the point you're making about the narrative that's out there is wrong, right? I think that sometimes, and what I will say is, I do think people may undervalue the athleticism that are placed in the top college conferences here in the States, but they might undervalue the competition that is in EuroLeague. EuroLeague is really good.
More
grown men.
Yeah,
more experience.
And I think there's something to say that. That also doesn't mean that every international player that comes over is going to be good. We've had our Darko Milicic's and other people, right?
Yeah.
What I will say is what I saw with him was kind of something I saw when I was watching Porzingis. I thought he had a good feel for the game.
Porzingis I liked. But athleticism. Porzingis had
That's true. Was more athletic than him. But there was something, Doncic reminded me a lot of a Paul Pierce who can handle the ball better, and I thought he wasn't over athletic. And I love Paul Pierce in college. I loved him at Kansas. But I liked that about his game. I just thought he had a good feel. There's something about him that he has a good feel for the game.
Doubt.
And I'm not saying Trae Young can either. Where I stand on Trae Young, if anybody cares, we talked about you guys.
We care.
My thing on Trae Young is I think that there's some truth to what you're saying. I think there's some truth to what you're saying.
Agreed.
Right? I think that Trae Young is a victim of some of the hype that surrounded him. And I think he's a little bit better than what he has shown. I think he also plays on a bad team. I think he's had to shoot a lot. I think the ball's in his hands a lot, so you kind of have to expect a lot of the turnovers that we've been seeing. It's also hard to run an offense in the NBA, right, as a young guy.
Especially when you don't have talent around you.
Yeah, all these young guys are going to turn the ball over.
But he plays with Vinsanity.
Stop it. But
who probably will be good for him in the long run.
I do. I think Trae Young I think he has all-star potential. Do I think the big question I think is going to come out that my friend was asking me is, do you think people will regret the trade between him and Doncic? I think Doncic will be the better player, but that's also because I thought Doncic was a better player before.
I would like to know who they get in the first round.
I think there can be regret, but a lot of that depends on who comes around Doncic and who comes around Trae Young. If Trae Young gets the support around him and that team becomes good, it's good. Just because the Mavs are mediocre right now doesn't mean that's how they're going to trend upward. But we'll see. I don't think Trae Young's going to be bad. I don't think he's a bum.
And
I'm not saying that you were saying. I don't be clear. Derrel was not saying that, so I'm clear on that.
He's not saying it here. but
Yes.
and going back to Doncic, I think, and when I first saw him in preseason, I changed my mind because he looked bigger. You know what I'm saying? When I watched him, on film, he looked like a 6'6" guy. All of a sudden, he's in preseason, he's like 6'8".
Yeah.
Did he grow?
I don't know. I don't know if he did. I didn't see that, but I know he did lose some body fat because he wasn't. He was just playing. He hadn't taken time to train his body. Mark Cuban said something about this recently. He hadn't taken time to actually work on his body. So I think that probably helped him too. And for both of these players, I think as we watch their bodies change as they get older, we'll see. I think a lot more. Look how skinny Steph Curry was. I hate to bring back the comparison, but people had questions about his body.
Thanks a lot.
Right? Yeah, sorry.
Or you could also say like Kevin Garnett, Porzingis.
Yeah, who knows? You don't know.
Durant.
Okay. You don't know.
Yeah.
But
before
Yes.
the draft, you said that you would have taken DeAndre Ayton, Jamal, over Luka Doncic.
Yeah, no question.
How do you feel about that now?
Fine. Like I think that comparison, and I was talking about this on Twitter the other day. It's not clear who is the better player, especially. But I mean, especially efficiency wise, Ayton is great, and if you watch him, the kid can do everything. He can even shoot.
Except play defense.
I think.
Well, I mean, it's early, right?
See that too.
Yeah.
People can develop. I'm a big believer.
But you want to talk about? I mean, he leads rookies by far in doubles.
Yep.
Trae Young second, by the way. So I mean,
Why'd you look at Derrel?
But to me, those three guys, like you talk about Jaren. Like there are other people in the chat that want to bring up other guys. Like Jaren Jackson Jr. Yes, he's great. He has a lot of
Jaren Jackson.
He has a lot of potential. True, but I'm talking about as a rookie stepping into it right now. It's really those three guys who've been like forced into action. Like you are a starter. You're part of. You're like the main cog in our future. Let's see what you got.
Luka, DeAndre, and Trae.
Those are the guys who've been pushed in. Maybe Sexton a little bit, but it took him a while. At first, they didn't do that at the very beginning.
Right.
Sexton,
Yeah.
right? They had to fire Lou.
Yep.
In order to do that.
And Trae George Hill.
Right. Those three guys have been pushed into it. And to me, all three of those guys have had a very good rookie season. They've shown a lot. So I don't think we know who the winner, especially Ayton, and he's a big man. I mean, Ayton that's the way the NBA works. You take the big man first.
See, that's where we disagree. Because we were talking about this before, and I don't think you take the big man anymore if he can't necessarily get you anything from the perimeter, or if he can't score late in games, which I'm not sure DeAndre Ayton is going to be able to do yet, where I know that I can put the ball in Luka Doncic's hands late in games, or even Trae Young late in games,
You don't think
and
Ayton-
they can get me a bucket.
But if Ayton is giving you what, I don't know, but I would assume he's like 18
But he's
and 10.
like 17.
Yeah, but he's
17,
not.
18, 10.
But
You
he's
don't
not.
think they
But
can go
he's
to him
not.
late?
He's not creating offense for me down the stretch. I would have to give it to him.
But see,
in
here's the
post,
thing.
or find a way to
but
get
see,
it to him.
I would say how you feel about that depends on it's all projections, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
it's
the
all
problem.
project-
That's the problem.
I don't trust Ayton to do it right now, but that doesn't mean he can't do it or won't do it. I'm not saying that he could. I think he.
But if you know Luka can do it right now, and if you think he's
With a good team around him.
yeah, and if you think he's better, you know what I mean? I still think Luka.
Like, what if Luka was on the Hawks and he had no one to pass to?
Remember, I told you this before.
he'd
I think.
probably be leading the league in turnovers.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe.
That doesn't mean I
but-
wouldn't think he's good.
I think that- I do think
he
that
would
the
step
Hawks-
up his scoring. Or, like you think he'd be
Yeah.
averaging 23.
Yeah, and as a result,
Yeah,
he
but
might,
I don't think he'd
You
be
think
as
he would?
efficient.
Yeah, but
that means
that's what I was gonna
He's
say. He might
43% now. It's
he might not
the
be
most
as
efficient.
efficient. He might not be as
not.
efficient, but I do think that the Hawks would probably have a couple more wins.
You're right, and I'm not saying he's uber efficient now, but I still agree with that point.
Right.
I just think he would have the pressure that Trae Young has on him, where you have to shoot a lot of bad shots.
Like I don't think DeAndre Ayton on the Hawks would have made sense either.
Go ahead,
You know what
Durrell.
I
You
mean?
gonna say something?
Yeah, I want to make a couple of points. We actually did early this season see the ball in the hands of Trae Young with the game on the line, and he got a shot blocked by Tyson Chandler.
In fact, we've seen it multiple times.
Yeah.
And he's won some and lost some. But
Well,
going
you're not
back,
going to
lost
win a
a
lot of
lot.
games
but
with
your
that
question,
team.
but your question was whether the Hawks will regret it, right? Going back to your question.
Well, yeah, that was kind of the question my
Right.
friend had posed to me
Right.
that I'm kind of don't know if we can really answer that yet.
And there was more
right?
to it. And when you hear,
Even if
you hear
Luka's
it-
great, you got to wait to see who they get with the second first round pick.
and there was also more to it, in terms when you hear people who cover the Hawks or people from Atlanta, there was more to it than just basketball. It was like, are our fans going to relate to a foreign guy as our star? Trae Young was like already a YouTube sensation, and people in Atlanta are hype over Trae Young.
He has a star quality.
I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't think it's right, not because you got to get the best damn basketball player you can in there. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, you know what fans like? Winning. Right?
Yeah.
Remember how many Knicks fans were like, I don't know about Porzingis. You and I said we like Porzingis from seeing him. I was on the Porzingis train.
A lot of Knicks fans
fans didn't. You know what they like about Porzingis now? That he was giving buckets last year before he got hurt.
Yeah.
You can give buckets and you can help me win. People don't like you.
But my point is those three guys, to me, are close enough at this moment. Now, will Luka Doncic go on and be an MVP of the league?
Maybe.
Then I'll be like, oh, okay, you might have been right. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
but we got to wait and see.
He's going to get all-star consideration this season. Like he is.
Well, partly because of the the media hype.
I think if you're ranking in rookie ladders or whatever the case, I'm having Luka first, Ayton second, and Trae Young third right now.
Speaking of rookie ladders, I pulled up the Kia rookie ladder on NBA.com.
Trae Young's an honorable mention.
Luka first, sure nobody disagrees with that.
Right.
Ayton second, sure nobody disagrees with that. Here's where it gets a little.
I know who's third. Jaren Jackson Jr.
No,
really,
he's
not.
It's Kevin Knox is third.
Are you kidding me?
He's only had a good. I'm a Knicks fan. He's only had a good.
But I think
2 weeks.
it's literally ladder. Like they're just going by like.
Who did he jump on that ladder that deserves to be third?
Well, Trae Young.
No,
and he's only shooting 39% of himself.
Yeah, that's not fair.
He scored 15 game for 6 straight games. So he's
2.5 week stretch.
Yeah.
We're talking about.
Yeah.
Trae Young's averaging 16
So
for the whole season.
Yeah. Wait. How is this ladder determined?
I think it's based off of recency.
Stay off of NBA.com.
I think it's really based off of recency.
I like what Kevin Knox has done.
I like Knox. Don't get me wrong.
No, I think he's going to be good. I think he's an all rookie team potential player.
But
and maybe Knox could be a top 3 in this.
Where's
class by the
Where's
end.
Trae Young, Derrel?
Colin Sexton is 4.
Oh, he's like, we're not even mentioning Trae Young.
This is an interesting number 5 that I certainly would have got.
Would not have Gilgeous Alexander?
Landry Shamet.
Oh my!
Who's doing these rankings?
NBA.com. What you mean?
No, they suck.
Just missed
Not
the cut.
NBA.com.
Trae Young's
These
an honorable
rankings
mention, right?
Yes, just missed the cut. Jaren Jackson Jr., Trae Young, and Kevin Huerter.
And
from
Rodion's
Atlanta.
Kurucs.
Mo
Kurucs.
Bamba,
Yeah.
Robert Williams III, and Rodion's, like you said.
Yeah. I saw that last night because I was doing a piece on Kurucs, which you can find on
Gilgeous
SDB.com.
Alexander's not there? I know he hasn't played well in the last
No.
couple weeks. Last 3 or 4 weeks, he's not been
Here.
great.
But Doc, I was in LA a couple of weeks ago, covered
I saw
a Clippers game.
Yeah.
Doc is very high on him.
I'm high on him too.
Yeah, I like him.
He can defend already.
He defends. He runs the team pretty well.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's a guy nobody mentioned. What do you think? And I hear, I think I'm more positive on this guy than anybody.
Let me hear this.
Marvin Bagley.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I was having a conversation with the same
this
friend.
is funny. When we were all at the ACC tournament, I remember me and Gerard were watching Duke, North Carolina, and we were both saying that while we liked Bagley, we like Wendell Carter more NBA-wise. And I think that right now they're about even in terms of production. Wendell Carter had 10 and 8 the other day, and yeah.
Bagley's face-up game is good.
Bagley's averaging 12.7 points a game in 23 minutes.
Carter's like 11 and 7.
10.5 in 25 minutes.
Yeah, and rebounds is like 7 or
to
something
be fair
like
to
that.
Bagley, Bagley's been off and on from the bench. Jaeger has not consistently played him.
The Kings are better than the Bulls, so I mean,
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
gonna
Very
be
true.
Bagley's thing, I think, is you got to figure out where you're going to play him.
Yeah.
You play him at the 4 or the 5.
He's a 5.
I like Bagley.
He's a 5 to me. I think he's a center.
I think
to
they
me.
should.
In the new NBA. Yeah,
I think they
ideally-
should play him at the 5.
I think ideally,
I think
yeah.
they can find a good.
Who was
forward.
there for? Who?
They've really been.
They got
Bejelica,
but they have a 5.
Cauley Stein.
Yeah,
and
Stein has been
Stein
better.
is
I
their
never
5.
liked Cauley Stein's
Me
game.
neither.
But his numbers.
But
are
I
okay.
think Bagley, you can play next to a 5 like that who can block shots and rebound. Then you could play him at 4. I like Bagley. I think he still has some work to do defensively, but who doesn't as a rookie?
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
What's up, listeners and supporters of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast? We need some help from you, and it won't take up too much of your time. As we grow, we always want to hear your feedback, so take a minute or two to fill out a short anonymous survey. The survey link is right in the episode notes for this podcast. It's easy and takes less than 5 minutes. As always, we thank you for your continued support.
All right, you guys have more. This is not the only thing you've talked about in the group chat. I've heard other things. I've heard that we heard your boy is Tim Hardaway Jr.
I like Tim,
and he has the nerve to talk about
now,
field goal percentage.
Now, I'm going to say something here before. Every time I'm a Knicks fan, everybody knows I'm a Knicks fan, but there's always somebody in the team that you're like, man, I can't just wait to take them to the airport. For me right now on this team, it's Tim Hardaway Jr. Not because I don't think Tim Hardaway can play at all. I just can't stand his shot selection. His shot selection drives me crazy, guys. Crazy. You think you like Tim Hardaway. I don't dislike Tim Hardaway. I think Tim Hardaway he's an okay player. I think he's probably better served as a sixth man on a good team.
Right. That's what I said.
He could be a starting two if you have a really good four of the guys around him.
He was a sixth man for Atlanta the year that
Well, you don't have to worry about him jacking up crazy shots, okay? To this, you say what?
Well, first, he is not a first option on an NBA team. And unfortunately, on the New York Knicks this season, he is the first option. I think, and he had a great first 20 games of the season or so. I think, Brian, you said you have him on your fantasy league team. He's putting up pretty big numbers.
And he's dropped off precipitously.
Yes. But at one point,
as expected,
averaging about 25, maybe a little under that a game.
While shooting 41% from the field.
Which is obviously not good.
He's still top 20 in scoring.
He's the worst 20-point scorer in the NBA right now.
He's
like efficiency-wise.
In terms of efficiency, you mean?
Well, in terms of player also, other than maybe Zach LaVine.
I'll take Tim Hardaway over Zach LaVine.
Yeah, that's why I say other than.
I don't know about that. I like
that's tough.
What's wrong with LaVine?
He's kind of Tim Hardaway, but worse.
Well, actually, no. I might take
the second year.
I might take
LaVine. He's like 4 years by now.
He's like 4 years old.
He's a gun also.
Go ahead.
But basically, we'll just like go into the chat part, right? So I had mentioned, I don't remember what the Hardaway stat was, and then I mentioned that Caris LeVert's easily better. Derrel rejected that premise, and then I said that Caris LeVert is easily better than Tim Hardaway. He would take Hardaway over Caris LeVert, and then that's where we were. And then I also said that I would take Dinwiddie over Hardaway, and he said, "In what world?" And then I said, "You're on crack," and now we're here.
Do you had the transcript in front of you? Because that was like on
so
point.
Let's just say
that was all from memory.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I won the Tim Hardaway versus Caris LeVert debate for this.
No,
you didn't. No, you didn't. Caris got hurt.
One guy's not playing. That counts. That counts in the debate.
He has weak ankles, man. Come on.
Caris LeVert has weak. Well, here's the thing.
But is that fair to bring up? Because he's bringing up his durability. It does exist.
No, he had injury concerns leading into the draft. But what I will say about this one, though, this was a little more of a freak accident.
That's true.
This is a little like this one didn't require surgery either. This is just like a freak dislocation on a play.
But Derrel, are you saying that he loses points because you can't count on him?
Absolutely. The best ability.
I mean, Hardaway has a foot injury now, and he sucks.
The best ability is availability.
You really love Tim Hardaway, huh?
I mean, I like him as a player.
You said the best ability is durability.
The best ability is availability.
Availability, sorry.
Tim's available. And he's had injury problems in the past, but not as much as Caris. So that went into my thinking of, right now, who would I take? I did admit that Caris probably has the higher upside. You've got to reach your upside.
Mm-hmm.
Upside is potential. Not everybody realizes their potential.
Right.
So that's why I said at that moment I would have took Tim Hardaway Jr. over Caris LeVert. The fact that Tim's playing, Caris is out until spring, maybe?
Well,
February?
According to NYU doctor or physician or whatever, they said usually those injuries are 2 to 3 months, which would mean that he could come back in January. I don't see that happening because he's not sprinting yet. My guess, because Net fans, you guys would think I'm reporting this. My guess is that All-Star Weekend would probably be around the time, which would be 3 months.
Okay. Yeah. So Tim Hardaway putting up bad numbers, but he's playing.
Who's better, Tim Hardaway or Buddy Hield?
Right, based on what I've seen from Buddy Hield this season,
I'm taking Buddy Hield right now. That's a good one.
You want me to call up the Kings and trade Tim Hardaway? I told you guys I'll drive him to the airport.
You'll say for straight up Buddy Hield. Yeah.
Wait,
Yes.
I'm not appreciating this Tim
I don't even know
Hardaway
I said
slander that we are doing on the show.
I can't believe this is the second show we've actually had an in-depth discussion.
Well,
about
all
Tim
right,
Hardaway.
Caris LeVert's hurt, but I feel like even though I saw last year that he was showing what he could do this season, they just had him in a role coming off the bench. But he did average, I want to say 12 or so points, 4 or so assists, 3-something rebounds. He started playing better at the end of the year. And I feel like you started to see that even at Michigan. Like, he was a better all-around player. He was just younger, so Hardaway was starting.
And he does better. What do you like that he does better in Hardaway?
Crunch time.
Oh, that he'll take better shots?
Oh, takes better shots
Oh, okay.
also. Yeah.
He's
does
all
that
around.
too.
He's an all-around player.
He's all around just better. I said that Hardaway is probably better at one thing, and that's scoring, and I'm not so sure he's better at that because he's very inefficient with that. Not that Caris LeVert is super efficient, but he was more efficient this season before he got hurt, and granted, it was a brief period of time, which leads me to Spencer Dinwiddie, who is currently active, and we were talking about that as well. Now, with Spencer Dinwiddie, I also said that he is better than Hardaway at pretty much everything except maybe scoring, except he's probably better at him than that now because he is way better from the field. He also gets to the line more, and he's also got his three-point percentage intact, which last year was not the case, and he still got most improved votes because he did come out of nowhere and have the season that he had.
I'm taking Dinwiddie over Hardaway.
I feel like all 30 GMs are. I legitimately feel that way.
Except for Derrel.
Right. Well, yeah.
All right.
Derrell's not a GM.
Here's the thing that
And he mentioned defense, and he mentioned Hardaway being a better defender, to which I guess you can talk about that. Dinwiddie has not had the greatest season defensively, but I will say this. In the NBA, point guards are more difficult to guard. They have the ball more. Shooting guards, not as much. If you were to switch them, who's to say that Hardaway wouldn't be getting blown by opposing point guards on a nightly basis? It probably would be happening.
Derrel.
Safe bet for me.
Well, Fizdale is challenging Tim Hardaway Jr. defensively this season. People forget, defense is half the game. You play offense half the time, defense half the time. Fizdale talked about why he left Hardaway Jr. on Caris LeVert, where LeVert hit
Game
game
2
winner at Barclays Center.
Oh, right.
And he talked about, he's going back and forth with this guy that he went to college for, and then it's the final play of the game, and I'm going to tell him, hey, great job, but I'm going to put somebody else on him. He said I might lose him for the rest of the season if I did that. Great point by Fizdale.
It is. Yeah.
Losing a battle for the long term.
Right.
I think it was the next game. The Knicks played Boston.
Boston, yep.
Jason Tatum hit a great turnaround jump shot on Tim Hardaway Jr.
He likes us a little bit too much, Jason
Tim
Tatum.
Hardaway Jr. played great defense on the play. It was just a great shot that Tatum made. So Hardaway is getting better defensively. Now, what I told Brian as well, this is clearly the best year of Dinwiddie's career. Are we convinced that this is the Spencer Dinwiddie we're going to see going forward? Is he going to do this on the Nets next year? Does he have? How much can he go up from where he is now? Is he going to go down next year? Whereas Tim Hardaway, we've seen an uptick in him getting better every season, especially with scoring. Now, his shot selection is getting worse as well.
Oh, is it?
But if you look at when he was playing with Porzingis last year, as a second option, he was a lot more efficient. And that's what he is at best in the NBA. The best Tim Hardaway is going to be is a second option.
Oh, I'd even say third.
I wouldn't argue that. But at
his best, that's what I'm saying.
At best, he's.
But you're right. He looked better when he was not the primary guy. And,
part
of that,
he's a one-dimensional guy.
But he is.
All right, I don't disagree with that.
But here's the thing:
defense is a dimension.
He has that dimension.
Yeah, I don't think he's a good.
he's at least average with the potential to get better.
I think he's gotten better. I still don't love it.
He has a defensive-minded coach who's challenging him. He's responding to being challenged.
But why didn't he get the crossover from his pops? Like, I don't understand.
I agree with that. We got to ask Tim that question.
Yeah,
But here's the thing.
How do you not
Going back to Hardaway as a second option, I've seen Dinwiddie be the first option for the Nets before and thrive perfectly fine.
Dinwiddie's not a first option.
He's
I'll
not.
say that.
He's not.
I like Dinwiddie.
He's not. But I've seen him be the first option, and he's won games for them. He had the most game winners in the NBA last season.
I don't.
And this was a year where he only averaged 12 points in the
Here's
game.
the thing.
12 points per game.
I trust Dinwiddie more with the ball in his hands. I guess that's the best way I put it.
Way more.
Oh, he's a point guard.
But
I
not
trust
every
the shot
point guard.
selection, too.
Not every point guard you're trusting more. Are you trusting Jose Calderon with the ball in his hands late in the game?
I do trust
over Tim Hardaway Jr.
I do.
Seriously?
Yeah, I do.
Wait,
I
you
do.
being serious?
I'm being serious. Yeah, I do.
I'll take
I
Hardaway
do.
over.
No. I didn't. No.
Wait, what?
Tim Hardaway
no.
Slater just went to a
No.
new level.
You didn't ask me whether or not I would want Tim Hardaway or Jose Calderon right now. You're asking me if you had to draw up a play and give the ball to somebody who don't want it to go to Tim Hardaway and Jose Calderon. Yeah, I think Jose Calderon's going to get a better quality shot.
Okay,
He
I'm
might
not
have
even
the
going
speed
that
to
far.
create it.
I'm not even going that far.
Darrell, sorry, man.
Is this the first Jose Calderon mentioned on this?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I hope so.
Yes, it is. Could you enlighten me, guys? What other debates are going on in this? Because this is all about NBA debates.
Larry Bird versus Kevin Durant.
Oh wow.
Oh, so we talked about this when Gerard came up here. I actually think that's a good one.
It is.
I really feel like the ones you guys had before. I do think Doncic, Trae Young is a good topic to discuss too, though. But I think this is actually interesting.
Oh, and the other one. I'm not going to mention that one.
Wait.
Go ahead.
What's the other one? No, I'm going to know.
D'Angelo and Spencer, and what do you do there going forward?
Okay, and we both shared what we think we should do.
Yeah.
Bird.
That's why I was like,
Now,
it's going to be too long.
The Bird versus Durant thing is who's better all time? Is that what we're discussing?
Yeah.
In their primes, who do you want? That's the way I look at it.
In their primes, who do you want? Okay. I mean, I know how I feel. I know how I feel. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think it's Bird. I mean, the dude.
You don't even think it's a question. I feel like you're about to go there.
In their primes, who do you want? Like you take Bird at the top of his game to Durant at the top of his game. I'm taking Bird every time. I mean, it was just a killer. You know what I'm saying? Like the dude won 3 MVPs. Whether he deserved, people be like, oh, did he deserve them or not? I don't know. Did Steph Curry deserve 2? I don't know. But the dude was considered the best player in the league in his prime. I think so.
Yeah.
And I hated Bird when he played. I was a Lakers fan at that time. Magic Johnson hated Bird in the Celtics. And the day he retired, I was like, yo, that dude is bad. And he was like the dude. First of all, you go back and look at the numbers. Even he had years. He was 30 points, averaged 30. To average over 10 rebounds and like 8 assists,
and shot very well from downtown.
And he was shooting 40, like close to 50% from the field. Like, and then and he went through the battles and won. And he was the best. People say he had help. Yeah, you had help, but he was unquestionably the best player on that team.
No doubt.
Okay, Durant, tremendous skill. Whenever I have this debate. Even with people who agree with me, they think I'm downplaying Durant a little too much because of his attributes. Like, oh, he's a 7. They always bring up he's a 7-footer who can shoot. When have we ever seen that? True, but I'm talking about their effect on the game. Like, what has he accomplished compared to what you think he should accomplish? You know what I mean?
Is that really a factor when looking at a better player? For you, it is. What do you say?
Phenomenal debate.
I do. I think it's a really good question.
I didn't see Bird in his prime.
Right.
But from what I did see in his prime, I think Bird would be a killer in any era.
I agree with that.
For those that want to detract from Bird, they said a lack of athleticism. But we've seen unathletic players still, like Paul Pierce was mentioned earlier,
or Doncic,
Doncic.
There are or Harden is not super.
Harden. That's another one.
Sneaky athletic. Like,
he's also boring.
But he's not somebody who's going to get up and just
right.
But he's sneaky athletic. I like that word for him. And Bird was tough. Can we also acknowledge that he had toughness?
Bird was tough, and just the level of trash talk. when they say Bird would tell you what he was going to do. To you and then do it. I mean, what level of genius is that? He's in your head so much that he can actually tell you how he's going to score on you, and then do it. Like that's.
So you have Bird over Durant.
I take I would take Bird, especially offensively. I think defensively, Durant and Golden State has stepped it up defensively.
Durant's gotten way better as a defender.
I feel like he kind of had to too.
And he's gotten way better in the other areas too. Like he's a better passer now than he was a few years ago. Even rebounding, he's picked that up a little.
Yep.
But I just don't. I don't detract from what he did at Golden State. I don't say, oh, he went to Golden State, so he goes down, in my list. But I don't. But at the same time, I'm not going to give him credit for, like, let's say, he has 2 rings. Wait, he have 2 rings now.
2 rings now.
I'm not going to say he led that team to 2 rings. I'm not so sure.
Whereas you can say Bird led the Celtics to
Right.
3. So Kevin Bird. See how I just messed that up?
Kevin Bird?
Kevin Bird.
That's an ill player right
That's
there.
an ill player right there. Kevin Durant versus Larry Bird. I thought you guys made good cases for Bird, and just maybe why Durant should be dismissed, to be fair. It's tough, man. I probably would go, I'm leaning towards Durant. The only thing that bothers me about saying that is I like Durant as a player, and I think he's sort of fighting against this mold of what we think a superstar should be, how we should act. But I do like players that are tough, and Bird was tougher, and I do like that trash talk element that Terrell mentioned. But Durant's skill set is very unique to me. Is one thing I haven't seen.
I don't think Durant's not tough, though.
No, I'm not saying he's not tough.
Yeah.
I don't think he's Bird gangster, though. I don't think he's got
Probably not.
I don't think he has his. I'm not saying he has to roll that way. I'm just saying I
Right.
don't think that's him. Right. I'm not saying he has to.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning Durant, but this is a really good debate of where we see Durant in his career right now. I'd love to have this conversation again in like 3 years.
I think it's because we were.
I really would.
No, his career number is going to dwarf.
I think
will.
I think it's because we were talking.
I'm not
about-
going to get caught in all that. Sorry to cut you.
I think we were talking about ranking small forwards, and then this is where me and Gerard said that we would put him as, I think, second after LeBron. I think. Is there somebody else there? Am I missing
Gotta
somebody
be.
other than Bird?
Pippen?
Yeah, I put him
After.
ahead of Pippen.
No, Pippen. No, I put him ahead of Pippen. Yeah, but I really like. See, Pippen's somebody I love.
Pippen? Are we
Like-
talking Oscar Robertson?
No, Durant's pick. Come on.
No, we don't know that. But I mean, I didn't. I never really saw
Oscar Robertson play.
But he might be a point guard. That's the thing.
Some people have listed him as that.
Yeah,
so
but
you
I
know.
don't. Yeah. He's 6'5".
I'm thinking about like definitive small forwards you can absolutely say
I think
are in that class.
Okay, so I think basically we had Durant there, and my point also was he's actually better than Larry Bird at scoring, in my opinion. Very efficient, better shooter. Defensively is better.
What if somebody gave you the argument that Larry Bird
If you
was-
drop him in the 1980s, they're not going to know what to do with him. Granted, yes, they could be more physical, but I'm not going to sit here and say Kevin Durant as a 7-foot shooting guard can't get his in the 1980s.
I'm not going to say that he can't, but I can tell you what, Larry Bird, as a non-athletic white guy who was crazy efficient, got his in the 80s in a very physical era.
He was very efficient.
Right.
And he was like,
I'm not saying he's not.
it's a great
He's
debate.
definitely
I think
he's a-
Kevin Durant's more efficient.
He's definitely
though.
a better passer than Durant.
I see.
100%.
I see.
He might be a better rebounder.
I think passing is the only thing definitive that
and
he's
rebounding
definitely
probably.
better at.
If you look at his averages,
But I think Durant gets rebounds in that era too, just by being a 7-foot guard.
he might get less
I don't know about
because
that.
they're grabbing his skinny ass.
No, but here's the thing. But here's another thing we were saying is that like you're kind of brought up,
That's
kind of
true.
brought into what you're brought into. If Kevin
Right.
Durant's born in 1970 or 1965 or whatever, and he's getting into the NBA in the mid 1980s, who's to say that he doesn't have a tougher background? He's from Baltimore.
I'm looking at an ESPN list.
I saw you go into that, and I'm like, I'm watching you scroll through it. And I felt
see that?
interesting. Keep going. I'm just interested.
Bird, they got
LeBron won.
LeBron 1,
Bird
Bird
2.
2, and then 3, Julius Irving.
Oh, you know what's funny? You forgot about that.
Yeah.
That doesn't. You know what? Over Durant, I think Durant's probably a better player.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not taking Dr.
Who was
J.
that right after? Who was that right after Durant?
Elgin Baylor.
Is Bird
Okay.
is Bird definitely better than Julius Irving?
To me, yes.
Bird is, yeah.
Pippen was what, number 6?
Even though Julius Irving,
I'm asking. I'm
because
seriously
because of the ABA days, like
we forget about
his
how
best
good his
days
numbers
were in the ABA.
Good point.
Yeah.
when he went to
Great
NBA, he was like
He was
over 30.
point. He was like, I think he was like well over 32. I think he was 32 or 33 when he
Right.
came to NBA.
Right.
Who's that? Who's that? I'm just looking at this. I'm so
Havlicek.
okay. Keep going. I just want to see what top
You
10
saw
is.
Pippen was 6.
I saw you 6. I saw that.
So
Pippen
Elgin
should be
Baylor
higher than
5,
that.
Pippen
Uh-huh.
6,
Pippen's top 5.
Havlicek 7.
I'll tell you what this list is better than that.
Rick
NBA.com
Barry
list.
8. James Worthy, 9.
I was gonna say
Small
James
forward or
Worthy.
is it 4?
Dominique Wilkins. I would have actually.
No, James Worthy's a 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would have Dominique a little higher. I think Dominique is one of the most
He's
underrated.
not a shooting guard.
I agree.
He wasn't just a dunker. Like the dude, talk about remember he battled Bird and they were going back and they
Yeah.
both dropped like 40.
40 in
I
that
thought
playoff series?
I thought he would be listed as a shooting guard.
Who?
Nah,
Dominique.
he's,
No,
he
he's
was
a small
3.
forward?
He was
Straight
small forward. Yeah.
Okay.
Borderline 4. You know,
That's
Like borderline.
that's not a bad list. Way better than NBA.com.
They-
rookie.
they-
Rookie.
I think
I think
Pippen
that-
should be in the top 5, but that's just me.
Okay.
Because he's probably the best defender I've seen, maybe ever, in terms of perimeter and post.
I still feel some
Because
kind
I
of way
saw
about his
because
dunk on you.
my brother's favorite player ever was Scottie Pippen, so I saw a lot of bull stuff just growing up, like
your
old
brother,
stuff.
your
But Future disgraced him, so I'm sorry.
You did.
Well,
Yeah.
It's not his fault though. I take
No.
it.
So guys, what
it's
we
Future's fault.
Well,
He
yes.
likes other dudes' women. You
yes,
know what I'm
that
saying?
too. So guys,
And it's their fault for letting him pounce on them. All right, we
Pounce.
could.
Wow. Guys, what
Pounce.
we do? Yeah, pounce is an interesting word there. What
You
we
ever
do-
seen Marcus Corvon's finisher when he was in WWE?
No, it always has to come back to some wrestling stuff.
Look up the
Always.
pounce. Look up the pounce.
I feel like I don't want to.
I'll pass.
Yeah, it sounds like I should pass. So, guys, every episode we always choose a number that's from an athlete that's correlated.
Yeah.
So it's Brian's favorite part of the
if
episode.
you've seen the artwork, so we
this
always
is
put an athlete's
56.
number.
Brian,
Like for 53, I think we had Daryl Dawkins.
yeah, Chocolate Thunder.
What was 55?
56 is easy.
White chocolate.
56 is easy.
Very
56
easy.
All right, hold on.
I like.
hold
You're
on.
the first person to come here and
Hold
say
on.
it's an easy number.
We will
This is
get.
so easy.
We'll get into the list.
We have a
56,
list.
hold on.
Go away. Take away the list.
All right. We'll start off with Joe DiMaggio, and the reason why I
Maybe
put
it's
that
not that
there,
easy.
he didn't. No, he didn't wear 56. His hitting streak was 56.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of those
Okay.
things where you give the hit streak.
Muhammad Ali.
What about him?
He
Why
had
is he- why is
he
he-
had 56 wins in his career.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. Okay, he's the greatest. But go ahead.
I'm gonna skip this one because
Well,
I think that's the obvious
I think
one.
it's the one you're going to go to.
So I'm gonna save
Yeah.
that one for
Which
last.
I said this was easy too. So I was
Right.
curious where you're going.
All right, Chris Dolman. Anybody?
All right, stop it.
Keith Brooking.
Who?
LeVar Arrington.
LeVar Arrington, even though he's a Penn State guy.
LeVar
Yeah,
Arrington.
I met him on the street like last winter when we did the podcast.
Oh, yeah, you told me.
I met him on the street.
Yeah.
Great
funny.
college player.
Yeah,
I'll definitely get him up here if we could.
he was funny.
Teammate of Courtney Brown. Demario Davis.
I like the word. We had him on the show.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's a
how
good
was
guy.
he?
He's a good
Very
guy.
good.
He's
Very
good. He's a insightful guy. He's good.
Very.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be careful with how I say this name.
Yes. Be careful.
Hardy Nickerson. Nickerson.
What?
Yeah, I see how you can roll that really quickly. It sounds like something else. Yeah, I get it.
I think he's a linebacker also. I just put it there just in case you guys knew, but
Was that
apparently not.
Buffalo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember him.
Derek Johnson.
Great linebacker.
Andre Tippett or Tippett?
Tippett.
Pat
New
Swilling.
England.
Pat Swilling. These are relief pitchers. Mark. How do you pronounce this dude's last name?
Burley.
Burley.
Mark Burley.
Okay. I never could get that
He
one
is
right.
56. That's a good one.
Yep.
Gerard Washburn.
Mm-hmm.
Brian McRae.
Mm-hmm.
Ty Kelly. Your boy.
Ty Kelly is who again?
Met.
Matt, utility infielder.
Utility infielder. And John Abraham, who wore for 1 year and had 11 sacks for the Jets.
Yeah.
One season.
Before he went to 94.
And Lawrence Taylor.
I mean, LT, but
Now here's the thing that I brought up to Dexter, though. Are you sure? Because he is kind of problematic.
It doesn't matter.
He was problematic to offenses
Yo, word. Word.
playing NFL
Word.
football too.
He was problematic to a lot of offensive coordinators and
I
head
mean,
coaches.
you talk about from that era, Lawrence Taylor. I mean, he's a guy, even with all his problems, he still was a beast for his career.
When
he's a Hall of Famer. Compare him to like same era like Gooden and Strawberry, who didn't quite,
Yep.
keep it up. I mean, Taylor's above those dudes.
When football was
Absolutely.
football, as the white guys like to say.
Look, 56. To me, there's 156. It's Lawrence Taylor.
All right.
Lawrence Taylor's
So
a
no
beast.
love for Muhammad Ali's wins?
I mean, it's wins. I'm gonna go. I like.
I know
to
you
keep
don't
going
like
to the
you like going
numbers.
jersey numbers,
I
not
just
the
keep
wins.
going to
I just
jersey
want to
numbers.
throw that one in there because I'm like, this
I-
is
That's
Ali.
a good. That's a
It
good
was a
throwing.
good one, and
I
like
threw in 50 when we got to Floyd Mayweather.
And no-
Evidently, he's gonna fight some Asian dude and get 51, but whatever.
whatever. And no disrespect to Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak
Right, that's
either
a good
too.
one.
That's a good one too. But 56, I think LT. So
Absolutely.
Oh,
got to
okay.
do it.
All right, Lawrence Taylor.
All right, so 56 is Lawrence Taylor. Real quick, you guys, this NBA season, what do you guys, because you guys cover the league, what are you thinking about the season so far? When we had Gerard up here, I said, hey, isn't this still exciting? A lot of people thought, Golden State's going to run away, but the West is so crazy. There's like a great game every night. What are you guys thinking about this season so far?
I think
You hate
the
Trae Young?
demise of I think the demise of the Houston Rockets.
The demise. Ooh,
yeah.
I like this.
Right now, they'd be out of the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we knew they were not going to be as good without Trevor Ariza, Luka Mute. Try to spell that.
I actually could.
But you know, to be out of the playoffs.
After being a game away from the finals, right?
Right. And if Chris Paul didn't get hurt,
Mm-hmm.
He's
they
hurt
might have won
again,
the
right?
championship.
He's hurt
Yeah,
again,
and
yeah.
he got hurt a couple of days ago. So for them to fall off so much is the biggest surprise to me of the NBA season. I also think people didn't, myself included, didn't think about how much better Toronto would be with Kawhi.
Mm.
Kawhi's a lot better than DeMar DeRozan.
Yes.
And they got Danny Green in that trade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is a great 3-and-D guy,
Right.
championship winner, great experience. So I think Kawhi and Danny going to that team, combined with the new coach, has them as one of the best teams in the league. Whereas I thought Boston was the clear favorite in the East,
Mm-hmm.
Toronto might be to get them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think both good stuff in terms of surprise. What about you?
Danny Green is back to where he was a few years ago
Years
with
ago.
the Spurs. Where
Yep.
he's like
That's
over
a- that's a-
40% from three.
That's a great point, Darrell, that people don't consider
Word.
Danny Green's impact in that trade and what he's done to that team. I think it's a really great point. What about you, Jamal?
I don't know. This NBA season has been one of the most exciting that I can remember. I mean, I'm always I love the NBA, always have. I'm always excited when it comes around. But sometimes when you get to a couple months into the season, League Pass gets a little boring. You don't know who to watch. This year, I mean, you just talk about the West. To me, the big story is how deep and good the West is. I know some people try to say that, it may not be as good. It's just parity, but I think it's very good. I mean, you got Golden State still not the 1 seed. They're still sitting at the 3 a game back. I know they've had injuries, but they're still bunched up with everybody else. You got 14 of the 15 teams are in contention for the playoffs, like legitimately, not just by the numbers, but when you look at the team, you're like, they can make the playoffs.
Everyone except Phoenix.
And then Phoenix isn't that bad. They have a potential rookie of the year, maybe not, but they have the potential rookie of the year. And Ayton, they got Booker. When Booker's healthy, they have real talent. They have no point guard. I get it, which is why they're 8-24. But everybody else is in it. So, you got the Lakers story. You got LeBron.
Oh yeah.
I have another group chat I'm in, and I before the season
chats.
I was betting guys. I was like, I bet you, we put something on whether LA was going to be a top 4 seed. I said I thought they'd be like a 5-6. Or we arguing about it. Let's bet on it. Right now they're sitting at 4. I still think they end up a 5-6, a 5-6 seed.
I had him 4 before the season.
I had
So-
a 4 too.
But we're splitting hairs. I also think they might. They're probably going to.
And remember last year's West, the difference between the 3rd seed and like the
Eighth
9th,
seed.
even the 9th seed
like
was
4
like
games or
2
something?
games.
It was
Like,
it was
something
even that.
ridiculous.
And now that 9th seed, Denver, is first.
Right.
Yeah, it's
And injured.
Do we think
by the way,
do we think Denver is for real?
I do when they're healthy.
they're deep, man. So yeah, I think they are. Now, what is for real this
I
year?
mean, like
is for real
could they get-
challenging the Warriors? Is
for real?
No, could they
push-
get to the Western Conference Finals?
No, I would say semis because
But I mean, they're number 1 right
But
now.
why? Yeah, but here's the thing: why could they not get to the Western Conference Finals now?
If we think they're,
I'm just
that good,
like throwing a legitimate question. Like, what's stopping them?
well, I've always said the Lakers will figure out. how
Okay,
to get
guys,
there.
then who's the second best team? Okay, if we're still saying that Golden State's the best team, who's the second best team?
You know
in the
what?
West.
Yeah,
I'm betting on the Lakers.
or is it or is the second best team in the NBA in the East?
You know who
I think so.
we haven't mentioned is the Thunder.
Right.
And the Thunder are the best defensive team in
Yes,
the NBA.
good points again.
The
Yep.
impact of Dennis Schroeder to that team, he's a lengthy defender, a good defender. He also helps you put Russell Westbrook on a weaker defender. And Russell's actually playing defense a lot better.
And taking less threes.
Right.
because
Paul George is having a
because he's
great
guarding more shooting guards. See how that works?
Did we see that Milwaukee? Anybody surprised by Milwaukee going into Boston last night and just smacking them?
Yo,
Nah.
I'll tell you what, I was
No?
surprised.
I'm high on
I fell
Milwaukee,
asleep
man.
early. I did not watch that game, but that cross that that Giannis did
on
and
Tatum.
And then he had Yam to
I don't
finish.
know. I don't know if Boston's as good, but we don't have to get into that right
That's
now.
but that's a whole nother thing. So you think that anybody think this the second best team? I think you kind of get into that. You think second?
It could be the Thunder.
It could be Thunder. That's a good point.
And Roberson, great defender.
Yep,
is still out.
had another setback.
So-
Is he even coming back?
I don't know, man. It looks like it might be March, if anything.
That's when they need him. He knows it. He's been with that team forever. Knows the defensive schemes.
I can see
He's
that.
He
gonna
can only
help
make
them
them better
defensively.
defensively, right? And they're already number 2.
I'm still not
Can-
counting Utah out either.
Can any of
I'm
the?
not counting them out of the
I won't
playoffs.
either, yeah.
But I do feel
Uh-huh.
bamboozled that I believed the hype that they were going to be a top 3 seed
I said they'd be the one
in the
second.
West.
Yeah,
And
me too.
I watched them closely because
They had a
Donovan
tougher schedule
Donovan
early.
Mitchell's from here, here,
Yeah.
and I knew him from AAU, so I watched them as if like that's my team. And even last year, they came on at the end. I think they took advantage of like the West being, there were some weaker teams in the West. They took advantage, and coming into this season, I thought they'd be good. I thought they'd be a playoff team, and then I saw everybody predicting them to be 3. I was like, oh, I guess
I
so.
had them as high
I
as
guess
2.
so, and I jumped on that. And now I'm like, I might have been bugging with that one.
I just
Because
think
who do they have
the
besides Donovan?
There you go. I don't think they have
That's the
enough
issue.
offense. They're still good defensively. They're still pretty much up there, even though kind of we're middle of the road beginning of the season. They don't have another scorer.
Get
That's
Brandon Ingram in a 3-way trade.
But at the same time, they did go to Portland last night and win by 30.
30. I saw that. Even though I did not. Last time I was wondering where, and I said kind of like didn't watch a lot of League Pass, but they did do that. Do you guys, real quick, believe in any of the East teams? We talked about Milwaukee. You brought up Giannis. Toronto, we spoke about very briefly. Brian kind of mentioned how Boston's been down, and he's right about that. Philly got better with Butler. Also, we're not talking about the Pacers. Pacers they play an old style of basketball, but it's been pretty effective. Are any of these teams in the East for real? Could they get to the finals of any of these teams and beat the Warriors?
Anytime you have 3 potential superstars in Embiid, Butler, and Simmons, you have a shot. So
Right.
I love Philadelphia's top-heavy talent. I don't know if they could beat Toronto. Toronto's the best. I would like to think that Boston will get it together, but they may not. I'm a huge fan of Brad Stevens as a great coach in the NBA. Sometimes too much talent can be a problem.
Yeah.
And through the first 30 games of the season, that's the problem they're having. Also, I'm not the biggest Kyrie Irving fan, and I
Me
was
neither.
listening to some of his comments yesterday. When he says, I can get to the hole or I can score whenever I want offensively, that might rub some of his teammates the wrong way.
And if it's true, do that every play and win the game.
Right.
Because we have not seen that yet.
Right.
So I think there's an issue in that locker room. And I don't know if it's going to be solved by the time the playoffs come. And that could derail Boston.
Agree.
Interesting.
And the Nets are making the playoffs, by the way.
Oh, all right. Last thing from you. What about the East? Do you like any of these Eastern teams? Are you concerned about Boston? Kind of like Derrel has concerns. What do you think, Jamal?
No, I like the top. I like the 4 teams in the East. I'm gonna take Indiana. I think Indiana is a solid, good team, but I don't see them as a real threat to win the East.
Right, yeah.
But I like the 4 teams. I like Toronto. I mean, Toronto's the best right now. Milwaukee, even though I'm trying to be like cautious with them, like not jump on the bandwagon yet. But I mean, the more they keep proving it every night so far.
They look good.
So I would say Toronto. I think Boston's gonna be fine. And a month or 2 from now, they'll be fine. They could play with any team in the league. Period. So the Raptors, Boston, and Philly. Raptors, Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly. I think Philly's there because of Embiid and Butler. Simmons. I love Simmons' game, but I'm not sure the toughness is quite there yet. We'll see when the playoffs come. But no, I think when people said beginning of the year that the East it was now equal to the West, I think that's nonsense.
It's top heavy.
But the top
Yeah,
4
the top
of the
4 is
East
better than the
can
West.
play easily with the West.
agreed.
It's
Top
like they're right
4.
there.
Yeah.
Agreed. I agree. I'm with you guys both in that it's been, and O'Brien's felt this way. It's been a very exciting NBA season. I enjoy League Pass every night. It's been fantastic. There's more we're gonna see. It's great, and we'll see. If Trae Young becomes an MVP. if Trae,
I can even watch Atlanta. There's
Yeah.
so many teams I can watch. Right
if Trae Young becomes an MVP,
now. Well,
you're coming back up here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
There you go.
I'm very confident that's not happening.
If Trae Young becomes an all-star.
We're talking MVP of like the rookie game, or
Which could
Derrel.
happen. This game is friendly for that.
Derrel.
But anyway.
Derrell. Now, if Luka Doncic becomes a 3-time MVP and
Whoa.
Trae Young doesn't do anything,
Well, yeah,
you know.
somebody will be fired in Atlanta for
Oh,
making that trade.
I mean, but those are the kind of trades you got
Well,
to
you
get right.
said that also.
You got to be right on those trades.
Yeah.
You got to be.
You got to get it.
We'll see.
All right.
And when Doncic wins a Rookie of the Year, I'm coming for you, Jamal.
There you
I
go.
didn't say it wouldn't happen.
I know that. I know you didn't say that. Hey, great discussion. Thank you guys both for coming up here. That's Jamal Murphy. He is AKA the Blackatologist. You can definitely follow his work. And Derrel Johnson, also known as Jazz Johnson. You can follow him on Twitter.
Absolutely, Jazz Johnson 10, the number 10, 10 on Twitter.
Yes, follow them both. Great guys to follow covering the NBA. They will be back to talk, and we'll have more NBA debates, as I'm sure. Just don't kill each other in the group chat. keep Brian saying. All right, that's it for episode number 56 of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Thank you to our guests, Jamal Murphy and Derrel Johnson. For Brian Fonseca, I'm Dexter Henry. Until next time, y'all. Peace.
You.